Hi everyone, welcome to today's show. I like to do an off-the-page project with you. We're going to do a lovely keepsake box, so why don't you join me and I'll show you how it's done. The first thing we need to do is to cut our lid and our base that forms this lovely edge on the box. So what you need to do is to measure the box board so that you have a roughly 1 centimetre gap all the way around and cut it to size. The next thing we need to do is to apply our adhesive. Now, for our lid, we need to actually measure about 1/3 of the way down the box. So work out how wide your box is. This one's about 17, so roughly about 1/3 is somewhere between 6.5 and 7. So just do your pencil marks, get your ruler and draw your line. And then the same procedure again, just getting your tape and applying it in each strip. Now, we need to make sure that we put our tape over this pencil line. This is because when we join our 2 different pattern papers together, the join will be right in the middle of that line, rather than trying to butt the 2 edges of the paper together. So we've got our papers. Now I've decided we're going to use our stripe on the sides of our box because it's got a nice regular design that we can easily match up, because we will need 2 strips of the paper to go around. Now for our top, we're going to use this lovely wedding rose design, and we're going to do a 1/3, 2/3 split with the brown that's on the back. So what we need to do now is to grab our lid and position it on our paper. You can either peel your tape first, attach it to the paper and then cut, or we can place the box board onto our page like this, get our pencil and just mark where we would like to cut, making sure that you are happy and it's even, and then you just drop it down onto the base. Now what we're going to do is we're going to form our corners, and we do this by grabbing each corner, folding it over, making sure that it's nice and tight, and you need to get this rectangle squarish looking shape on each corner. Because this is a thicker paper, we're just basically pre-scoring all of these edges to help us attach it much easier later on. Now we're ready to attach, so grab your double-sided tape and cut 4 little squares, which you will then attach into every corner. Beautiful. Now the next thing we have to do is stick our sides down. So what we need to do is go back to our double-sided tape. Now what this does is this cuts off the excess adhesive, so that when we peel the backing off, this will just close nicely and it will match up with the other side, and there'll be no adhesive left exposed in our join. How easy was that? Now the next thing we need to do is do exactly the same, but to our lid. So there you have it, your base and your lid. Remember how we drew that pencil line on the lid? That was so that we could position our feature piece of paper with our coordinating bottom strip. Both nice, neatly done on all the corners. Now what we have to do is to attach a strip of ribbon to hide that join and really start to pretty up the lid. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure out a piece. The ends are going to fold under, so we need to make them a little bit longer than lid of the box. So what we need to do now is attach our long strip of ribbon to our base, and that will form, as you see on this box here, our decorative piece, but it also forms our locking mechanism for the lid so it doesn't fly off, and it just looks nice and finished. So do you see how the ribbon curves this way? It means that this part is the top of the ribbon. So once we find our middle, we can place it onto the base and then grab our double-sided tape, just a little strip, roughly about 1/3 of the way in, place it on your lid, peel it off, and then grabbing the middle part of the ribbon again, there we go. So I find that actually helps to stand up a little bit, lean right over, checking to make sure that the box is centered, and then dropping it down. Like that. Give it a nice press. So that's one. Again, taking our strip, putting another pencil mark, lining it up in our trimmer. Now this is the reason why I like to use a striped paper, because you can match up the stripes and then we can keep going around. Now make sure you line up your patterns on your striped paper, and then again very carefully working your way slowly around the corner. Attach it. So there you go. As you can see, our box is coming together very nicely. Next step is our lid. Today I decided we were going to ink it. So our edge has already been pre-inked. So what we have to do now is again go to our super adhesive tape, grab our lid, put our 3 strips of the tape, and then place our lid onto our box. Now don't get caught up with making sure that the measurements are all exactly the same. Work by eye, use your instincts. I've just done this standing up, looking right over it, so it gives me a good idea of where the centre is, and just placing it straight on there. Quick and easy. So our front is looking very nice and nearly finished. The only thing we have left to do is just to cover our base of the box. Now we can either do that with a piece of felt or a piece of foam, and as you can see they come in lots and lots of colours, so I'm sure you can find one to suit. I think we'll go with white. There you go, our base is now finished, our top's finished, and there you have it, a lovely keepsake box, one of a kind, unique, easy to do. Why don't you give it a go?
At Bella, we say a picture is worth 1,000 words. When we scrapbook, we must ensure that we tell the story behind the photo we are scrapbooking. A photo is only as good as the memory that goes with it, so ensure that you record the stories behind your photos while you are scrapbooking. Bella have some great products on the market to make your storytelling quick and easy. Journaling spot pads, which have pre-cut coordinated journaling spots, punch out easily for you to write your own special message. Journaling die cuts are often provided as part of a coordinated range. You can use the different shapes provided to suit your layout. Other journaling products, such as these ATC cards, are another great way to start journaling on your layout. You can see how we've used these cards in this example. You can hide journaling in your layout if you have a more personal message. In this example, we have hidden the journaling page behind the main photo. This allows you to record a more personal message that you might not want everybody to see. There are lots of ways to incorporate journaling into your scrapbooking layouts. Make sure you record your special moments with journaling when you scrapbook and create lasting memories.
Well, I was a scrapbooking and stamping teacher in the States, and my husband is an engineer and a toolmaker. And I had come to him one day and said, honey, can you make me dies that emboss? Because there was nothing available that would do that. So we took the leap of faith, jumped off the bridge and started the company, and now we have 2 patents on the dies and 1 on the machine, and we're well on our way. Scrapbooking in the United States is really popular, but I really think scrapbooking in Australia is just as popular as it is in the States. And the girls here are incredible. I'm just amazed by how everything looks like a work of art. So you guys have a lot to be proud of. So the girls are using the Wizard right now, and they're actually cutting out our dies, and the dies cut, emboss, and stencil. So they're the only dies that do 3 things. And they're making a lovely card. And so right now they're cutting out their shapes. And then in order to emboss, they're going to remove the black mat, and they're going to add the tan embossing mat on top of the die. And that's going to give you the embossing detail of the die. Need a rubber mat, Co? So you guys having a good time at the show?
Yeah.
Learning a lot?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and you're going to start to assemble your flower. Yep, and you're going to glue that down. And then the project, when they're finished, is going to look like this. And you all know this machine is universal, so that means you can use all your consumer dies in this machine, but you can also use all of the dies that we sell in any other consumer machine that's on the market. So either way, the store owners have a lot of variety in what they can do. The Wizard actually comes with all the mats that you need to cut the dies and to emboss the dies. And then you can actually purchase an add-on kit, which would allow you to use the 12-inch dies. So the ladies that want to use the larger dies for scrapbook pages, that's for them. And then you can also get a thinner version of this white mat, and that'll allow you to emboss thicker objects like coins and charms. So then you can have all kinds of household items be recreated and embossed for your scrapbook pages. And we're just going to replicate these coins. So I'm going to use the tan mat, and I'm going to use this white mat. Take the machine. And it's nice because the machine's all metal, so there's no plastic in it. So it's really durable and it lasts a very, very long time. And then if you just take a little sanding block, you can actually see how we replicated the coins into the foil. And I am so impressed with the girls in Australia and how great they scrapbook. Well, Spellbinders certainly offers a huge variety of dies, so if you have boys or girls, or you're doing weddings or invitations, I'm sure there's something for everybody.
You've put in all that hard work on your layout. Before you pop it into the sleeve, just take an eyeglass cleaner, wipe your photos over, getting any dust or grime off. That will get rid of all the nasty fingerprints and show your wonderful work off for years to come.
In this episode, we're going to do one off the page. So what we're going to do, we've actually used the basic grade 2 scoops. We've cut the squares into 4x4s that fit on a 12x12 frame. You can actually do this on a page if you didn't want to do all the techniques, but it's great to have an off the page project for your home. You can actually have some photos if you want on there. It's just that I wanted to show you something you could do with chipboard. Okay, so our first one, we're covering a chipboard tree. I'm tracing around the tree. This is easier when the chipboard or product is solid and doesn't have a lot of edges. Now that we've cut our piece out, we glue our product on. Double-sided tape you can use, but I find that using a glue stick for gluing the chipboard on is much easier. You've got time to move. And again, if you can see any imperfections, just get your file out and file away. This will give you a nice crisp edge. Okay, for the next square, I'm going to show you covering the chipboard with chalk inks. I'm using a non-stick craft mat underneath. You can use a piece of cardboard or anything, but I do like the non-stick craft mats. And that's how easy it is to cover your chipboard with ink. A new product that's out on the market at the moment is Tim Holtz Distressed Crackle Paint. This is a one-stop shop. Before, when we used to have to distress, we have to use 2 mediums to get the crackle. This is a one-pot, one-shop crackle paint. It already has an applicator inside, and all we do is just apply it thickly onto the chipboard, just as we normally would paint. The thicker, the better. To speed up the process of the crackle paint, I'm going to use my heat gun. First of all, turn the heat gun on and make sure it's nice and hot. If you don't have a heat gun, don't worry. You can just let it dry overnight. We're going to use the Cuttlebug with our chipboard. So I get my embossing plate, my chipboard, putting it through, sliding it through our Cuttlebug. Voila, look at that. When we came across this technique, it's really going to take chipboard to the next level. There is so much you can do with embossing your chipboard. Okay, so now we've embossed our frangipani. We're going to ink it up. So now we're applying the Dimensional Magic. Don't forget, Dimensional Magic takes a good 4 hours to dry, so if you're going to do this in class, I'd be doing it at home. Apply liberally, getting out all air bubbles. Okay, on our next square, we're going to cover it with Kinder Glitz. I'm just going to ink the chipboard first. Just give it a light coverage. And then I'm going to use the Crystalina Australian made Kinderglitz. This again will take time to dry, so I would be doing these projects first. Again, make sure you're not getting any air bubbles and going right to the edges. As you can see, I inked under here with blue, and under the clouds I've inked with white. The butterflies have been inked with pink, and then just use the Crystalina over the top. As we have in other episodes, we're using Glimmer Mist. Again, I'm using a non-stick mat, giving it quite close and giving it a good spray. Like I said before, the harder you spray on, the more depth you're going to get. Glimmer Mist is a combination of ink and glitter. It gives it a fine, shimmer, glittery look. And like I said in previous episodes, it does come in quite a few colours. I'm just using the Swirls, which is one of the many ranges of the Cuttlebug embossing plates. We're so excited that in CHA winter in the States, they'll be releasing a new range of embossing plates. Just look at that texture. And all I'm going to do is lightly ink over the top, just to bring out that embossed look. So I still want you to have the chipboard underneath, but all I want to do is just bring out that beautiful embossing. Don't forget, when you're scrapbooking or doing any craft project, we always do more than one craft. So you're going to have your embroidery thread, your needles, and bring it onto the page. So I'm just going to thread this through. Like we did in those last episodes, we sewed onto the page. I hope to see some great sewing onto some pages again. So as you can see with our chipboard buttons, with the 2 holes we've just tied in a knot, and with the 4 holes we've done the cross stitch. We've used a lot of techniques on this project. You don't have to do all of them. All I want to do is to show you some different techniques to use with your chipboard. I hope to see you in your local scrapbooking store soon and buying some chipboard and seeing some great projects that you're doing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.